Yeah, so we'll spend the first 2 minutes just to discuss any problems that anyone has before we jump into the content for week 3. Anyone got any questions regarding uh, this cluster of units?
Um, it wasn't necessarily me, Richard, but I think that someone was having issues finding the slides. Have they been uploaded or?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. I had an email regarding that as well. So if I just quickly share my screen. Okay. Um, Sorry, let me just find the correct tab. All right, hopefully you can see this. No, is that visible?
Not yet.
Okay. Um,
There we go. Yes.
okay, awesome. I don't know if it's a Mac issue. It's just like I don't know why it always takes like there's always a delay before it shows. But anyway, I'll show you. So there aren't any like formal slides for this unit. It really just depends on the lecturer taking the each of the clusters. So for my one, I usually just come up with a lesson plan and what I want to run through every week. But you do have some learning reading slides that you can refer to. So if I show you under each week, you'll see there's a section here called like week 1, week 2, week 3. And then this essentially is the content you need to read every week or your reading materials. So again, if I go into week 2, you can see there's a lesson, and then if you click on that, there's some content that you need to read, which sort of forms your weekly slides for the week. Yeah,
Sure. No worries. Thank you.
yeah, all good. Yeah. Have you been getting lecture slides in other units, other clusters?
Um, yeah, we uh, previous years we have, yes, Richard, but maybe not at the moment. I'm not.
Oh, okay. What I can do is I do have like a lesson plan that I create every week, just as I want to like the things that I want to run through. I can share that with you. I can put it in some lecture slides and then share that with you, if you'd like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I'll start doing that then, going forward, and I'll post it on Moodle every week then. Yeah, just give me some time because I I do have quite a lot to um put into the slides. Yeah. Okay, cool. Any other questions before we start? Oh, I did have another question via email, which was regarding like early release of assessments. So sorry, if that person could just go on mute. Um, yeah, so in terms of early release of assessments, so unfortunately I can't do that at the moment because most of the assessment tasks are still currently being developed and are peer reviewed for quality control. So the idea is you'll have the 12 weeks just to learn the content, and then the final 8 weeks will be just dedicated to spending time working through the assessment tasks. So unfortunately, at this stage, I can't release the assessments. Yeah, hope that clarifies things. Yeah, but 8 weeks should be sufficient, enough, more than enough time for you to complete the assessment task for the cluster of units.
Can we apply for extensions?
Uh, yes, you can, but usually extensions, it depends, right? If it's like a medical reason or personal circumstances, then for sure you can apply for uh, extension or unforeseen circumstances, things like that. You can apply for an extension. But if it's like you haven't been attending class, you haven't been actively participating, and then there's only like 2 weeks before it's due and you want an extension, it's highly unlikely you'll get an extension. Yeah. But if you've been coming to class and then like due to unforeseen circumstances, uh, you need an extension, then yeah, up to the discretion of the teacher. Usually we'll grant you a week extension or something like that. Does that clear
Thank
it
you.
up? Yeah. Okay, no problem. All right, cool. If there's
I've been
no,
looking at the introduction of the courses, and it doesn't indicate if there's any special requirements like setting up, having Windows virtual servers or anything for these courses. Are there any special requirements, or can everything be done on a Mac with Microsoft Office, for example?
good question. So I think for this cluster of units, you don't need any special software or anything like that. For the other units, I am not sure because it's my first semester teaching at CQU. So I don't know. I'll have to check with the other teachers whether you need any special requirements. So maybe leave that with me. I'll ask the other teachers whether there's any special requirements that you need for other clusters. Yeah, but for this cluster, there's no special software that you need. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, if there's no other questions, let's get started with the week 3 content for this week. So let's have a look at, since I have BSBXTW401 open, let's have a look at the content for this week. Okay, so this week, the discussion was mainly around legislation, work health and safety. I think the first task, it required you to have a look at the work health safety legislation for your state and territory. So hopefully, most of you have had a chance to go through the legislation for this. Cool. So probably this one will be the most applicable for you. Is everyone based in Queensland or some of you based in other states as well?
Queensland.
Okay, great. Most of you are based. Okay, awesome. Then we can just discuss the Queensland one. All right. So before we discuss it, so let's just quickly talk about like what the differences are between like an act, a regulation, codes, and regulator. So anyone want to give that a try? What's the different, what do all of these mean? Like an act, regulation, codes, and regulator.
An act is like it's like part of the legislation. It's like the law, whereas a regulation is like sort of a governing body that regulates the actual legislation. And the codes of practice, it's like it provides a code for specific information on certain issues, how to comply and achieve those standards, those legal standards. I think I got
Yeah,
it right.
yeah. Tuan's generally got it all correct. So the act would just be like the law that's passed by a legislative body. So in this case, it would be the Occupational Work Health and Safety Act, right? So that would be the act. The regulation is mainly usually it's just like a detailed rule or a directive that's been issued by an authority or regulatory body. So, for example, in this act, usually there'll be some rules around the regulation uh, that talk about how these rules should be enforced. Then you have like the codes. So these are your like guidelines or best practices that they're not legally binding, but they serve as a standard for conduct within a field. So it could be a codes of practice, like best practices regarding work health and safety. And then you have your regulator, who's like the authority or agency who's are responsible for ensuring that you comply with the act. Yeah. So does it make sense for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I just saw someone posted in the Zoom chat. Week 2 Zoom session.
Oh, just one of
Oh,
the subjects, one of the
okay.
units doesn't have the week 2 video, but the other two in the same cluster does.
Oh, okay. I might have accidentally forgotten to upload in the ICT SAS 527, but Craig, yes, the video will be the same across all three clusters. So if you go into the other units, you can actually go grab the video. Oh, and after the class today, I'll upload it to that to this one as well. So then you can view it from the ICT SAS 527 unit as well.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up. So yeah, so did anyone have a chance to read through like the Work Health and Safety Act? Let me link it here as well, so you'll have a reference. What were your key takeaways from this legislation if you had a chance to read through?
Well, the Work Health and Safety Act, it provides a framework to
Mhm.
protect the health and safety and welfare of all the workers at work.
Okay.
It also protects the health and safety of other people that might be affected by the actual work.
Yep. Good points. Tuan, anyone else?
It seemed to hold all the definitions and terms that they use later on.
Yeah. Usually, in a document, you'll want to specify what the purpose of the act is, what the definitions are as well, just so that there's clarity, for the people reading the document, because maybe they might misinterpret something that you write there. Yep. Anything else? Usually, like there's like the people as well, like duty of the responsibilities as well. What other things are important here? I think there's some regulations are usually put in here as well in terms of like the detailed rules and all that they're usually specified in the act itself as well. Awesome. So yeah, if you have time, you can have a quick read through. You don't have to memorize everything, just as long as you know like the different types of legislation and what it's generally about, it's okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So now that we discussed that one, let's quickly pop out of this. And all right. So the second activity was in regards to researching about some different types of legislation or acts. So did anyone have a chance to go through these ones? Any of these ones? I want to quickly discuss what your findings were for each one.
Look at the Privacy Act.
Oh, Kyle, just yep. Kyle, you want to talk about privacy?
Yeah, it was
Yep.
sort of like recognizing that people are putting a lot more information online,
Mhm.
and it's promoting privacy of individuals and gives a framework for complaints and things like that.
Yeah. So what was the Privacy Act generally about? What did it generally talk about?
It was talking about companies holding information, transferring it,
Mhm.
storing it, what they're allowed to do, what they can't do, things like that.
Yeah. So generally the Privacy Act, it just usually governs how personal information is collected, used in an organization. And also like highlights the things that like organizations should take care of. Uh, how do you think this relates to how do you think the Privacy Act relates to working in a team? Do you have an example of where it might be applied?
Well, in IT, it's like data breaches now is on everyone's mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just so many companies can't hold their information, and this act sort of like holds them responsible for it.
correct. Yeah, there's many cases where organizations have mishandled information in an organization, like maybe they leak too much personal information, for example, and then they would be subject to fines as well. Do you have any like real life scenarios that maybe you can relate back to?
Well, the big Optus one, just a while back.
Yeah, Optus one. Yeah, definitely Optus. Yeah. Cool. Any other ones?
Medibank had one.
Medibank, yeah, Medibank data breach. The Medibank one was mainly around I think how it was leaked credentials on that the hacker gained access to on the dark web, and then he was able to find a like a misconfigured service on the internet where he was able to log in using those credentials. And then once he was in, he was able to exfiltrate the data. Yeah. And then he pretty much went back to the company and said, you have to pay me a certain amount or I will leak all of this like information to the public. And then because generally like these large organizations, they won't pay the ransom because they'll think that even if we pay you the money, like we're not confident that you're not going to still going to release the information anyway. So generally, when they ask experts to come in to advise them on whether they should pay the ransom, it's not something they'll generally pay for. Yeah.
Has it been put into Parliament or put through Parliament that
Yeah, there's
they
some.
won't pay, or it's now companies can't pay ransoms?
Yeah, good point. I think there's a new cyber legislation regarding like you can't pay it. Cyber Legislation Act. Yeah, I think so. I did remember something like that specified in the act. If you want to have a read through, maybe just have a look through this document, but it should be in here somewhere. Yeah, and they now face significant fines as well if they suffer like a data breach as well. So there's more duty of care to be taken in regards to like the privacy of your customers. Yeah. Okay. So I guess another example is in the relation of working in a team, it would be like if the team member's working on a project that involves customer data, they just have to make sure that the personal information is securely handled and it's not shared even among your team, right? If they're not authorized to view the information, you have to take a duty of care and not show them. Yeah. Great. So
Probably
have
also,
yeah, great.
sorry, I just wanted to add, probably also with sharing it with your family as well, if it's a well-known business.
Exactly, yeah. Even if family members, you shouldn't be sharing like confidential information like that. Yeah, good point. Thanks, Craig. Any
This is,
other?
yeah,
Sorry.
this is we're working from home since COVID. That's been more dangerous too for leaking information.
Yeah, definitely. Especially now after COVID, more and more workers are working from. A lot of organizations are adopting flexible work, so you can work from home now, and like obviously that increases the risk. So always take vigilant care, in your where you're working, I guess. Yeah. Cool. Any other acts anyone had a chance to go through and wanted to discuss?
Sex Discrimination Act of 1984.
Okay, yeah. What was that about, Kyle? What's the act about? Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just trying to get my words out.
no worries.
Sorry, my speech is really messing up. I'll just.
Okay, no worries.
It's okay to move on to someone else instead. I'm sorry.
All right. Anyone want to talk about the Sex Discrimination Act 1984 or any other ones that they had a chance to research about?
Yeah, I'll jump in for the Sex Discrimination Act. Just
Okay.
essentially not treating others differently based on their sex
Yeah.
or
Gender.
for instance their gender unless it's for a specifically protected purpose, for instance like female only gyms or something to that effect, but mainly like just essentially treating somebody differently on the basis of their gender, paying them less, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Andy's got it spot on. Do you have any example maybe in the workplace where Oh, sorry. In terms of working in a team, like how would this apply?
For myself, working in a team. Okay, so look, I guess if I was working on like an IT project or something like that with a team, and I don't know, there was something like monotonous involved, like testing, for instance, something like that. No offense to anyone who likes testing, but if I was assigning all of the testing tasks to like the female of the team, because I guess, making jokes that that she's really good at repetitive tasks, and I need to leave the thinking to
Yeah.
the boys or something to that effect. I don't know. I'm trying to be as ridiculous as I can. I've got two girls, so I can't even imagine saying that. But yeah, I guess that's an extreme, ridiculous example. I guess there are some guys out there that are like that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point, Andy. Yep.
yeah,
So essentially, like, I'm not assuming gender, not taking assumptions about certain gender roles. For example, assuming a woman would be better at admin tasks and then assigning all the admin tasks to her, or a men are better at leadership, so then I'll assign all the like leadership tasks to the men. So not assuming things, treating everyone equally. Yeah, is the point. Cool. All right, how are we going for time? 20 minutes. All right. Any other ones anyone had a chance to research about or wanted to discuss?
No, I had a look at the Fair Work Acts.
Okay, fair work there. What was that about, Liz?
So it's essentially a set of framework to encourage a productive workplace relations for social inclusion and put in place protections and fairness to prevent discrimination against anyone. So that was based on gender, religion, disabilities, all of that fun stuff.
Awesome.
And an impact in a team for that one would be similar to what Andy said in terms of making assumptions about someone's ability based on any of those characteristics.
Yeah, definitely. How would it differ from the Sex Discrimination Act though? Like in terms of like the Fair Work Act.
So it doesn't just focus on that. So it's more like
Not just
social,
about gender, yeah. More
not
about
just
like
about gender, no.
correct,
So
yeah.
and also encouraging like family and stuff like that. So if you did a 4-day week instead of a 5-day week, not being cut out of the team because you weren't there for the full 5 days while the rest of the team
Yeah,
was
exactly.
there.
Yep. So just treating everyone equally, yep, regardless of their age, gender, or like disabilities or anything like that. Yep, good points. Awesome. Yeah, so good discussion on this. If you have time, maybe go through the ones that you haven't had a chance to have a look through. But good discussion. I think you guys get the main point of like the different types of acts and how they apply in a team. Yep. All right. Let's quickly move on to the next unit. So the next unit was I'll just jump onto ICT S 532 just because I think this week was also regarding legislation as well for this unit. So since we're talking about legislation, we might as well just jump onto this one. All right, cool. So this week in ICT 532, you would have covered copyright legislation, policies, and procedures. All right. So I guess the first thing it wanted, one of your first tasks was understanding what proprietary means. So can someone just give a quick definition of what they think proprietary means?
It's like a custom solution
Oh,
or
sorry. Yep. Go, Craig.
sorry, I think I cut someone off. It's like a custom solution that a company has designed and so only they can use it. Proprietary to their business.
Proprietary to their business. Yeah, so maybe something someone designed for their own business, and then what would they hold over that asset, I guess.
I think they would copyright it.
So proprietary, if we just go back, take a step back and just talk about proprietary, what's like the standard definition of proprietary? Something that you
Well, proprietary means one that possesses, owns, holds sort of exclusive rights to something.
Yeah. So I think Marcus just messaged in the chat as well, like relating to ownership as well. Yeah. So maybe proprietary just basically means something that you possess, own, or hold exclusive rights to. So as was it Craig who was mentioning like a company develops like their own proprietary tool and then they have that exclusive rights to it. Yeah. So what are some examples of proprietary in the workplace? Like what are some proprietary things that you've heard of?
Can't
So
think of the top of my head, but I know Cisco has a few proprietary, like, I don't know, custom software that only they allow to use, or protocols or something like that.
okay, yeah. So
Net-
have
networking,
proprietary
yeah.
rights over those things. Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe like so proprietary rights is something that you may have heard of. So that's just having the legal entitlement to over that asset, idea, or property. Yep. Have you guys heard of in the IT industry? Are there any other proprietary things that you've heard of?
Well, the biggest one is
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking of software for a particular printer or scanner that'll only work
Yeah.
with their particular software.
Correct. Yeah. So proprietary software. What's the opposite of proprietary software?
Open
Working
I was
open
going to say
source.
the biggest one is
source.
I've overridden someone again. Sorry. The biggest one is Microsoft Office. That's all proprietary software. But if you want to go for like an open source one,
Mhm.
then there's LibreOffice, which is a fork of OpenOffice.
Correct. Yeah. So there's two, right? So there's a proprietary software and then there's like open source software. What would the difference be between the two? Like from a IP perspective.
Paid for and free to use.
Pay for free to use. Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else?
Generally, well, proprietary software, the company that's producing the software owns the copyright to it and
Copyright,
might
yeah.
even have patents on it on various functions within the software, or
Yeah.
encryption or compression algorithms.
Correct. And how about like the source code? Would you be able to see it in like a proprietary software? Like would it be available publicly be available to everyone? And
In
how about
general,
like open
no, but
source?
some
Yeah.
of them do make the source code available to certain companies under very strict licensing conditions, like for auditing the software to make sure that it's
Yeah.
secure enough. But generally, no, and you can't then take that, even if they do have access to it, you can't then take that and write your own.
Correct. Yeah. So I think the main difference is like for open source, usually the software is publicly available as well. And as Adrian mentioned, in proprietary software, usually that it's not generally available, but it can be available in cases like audits, for example. So there's a good chart here that explains the difference between the two, proprietary software and open
With
source.
open source as well, doesn't it depend on the license with that sort of stuff? Because I'm pretty sure the MIT license says you can do whatever you want with the software, including like change it up. But I think the Apache license says that you can use it. It's yours to use and implement and even make money off, but you can't change it. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good points, Andy. Yeah. So yeah, here you can see these are mainly the general points. So with proprietary software, as I mentioned, with the word proprietary, it means someone possesses or owns the exclusive rights to it. Whereas like with open source, it's developed collectively. So if you go on GitHub, you can see you can just search for open source software and you'll be able to find a lot of open source software that you can contribute to, or open source projects as well. Yeah, software. Yeah, so have a look through like a list of open source software. And here you can see source code is generally not made publicly available, whereas with open source, generally it's made public. Yeah. And then the access to the software is restricted, whereas with open source, yeah, as Andy mentioned, you do have to read like the terms and T's and C's for the open source software as well. But in most cases, you can access and modify the source code as well. Yeah. All right, cool. So
Some
yeah,
social services such as forum software and all that, when you buy the license to it, you get full access to the source code to modify as you see fit, but only for your specific installation. You can't sell it, you can't what have you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Adrian. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I think we understand what proprietary means now. So let's quickly jump into the next bit here. So I think the next bit it was talking about the different types of legislation. So did anyone have a chance to read through these acts here and want to quickly just discuss these ones? I'll paste it in the chat as well, so you have a reference. And the last one here. So maybe let's quickly discuss the Copyright Act one. So what year was the legislation like first enacted, I guess?
1968.
Yep, Lincoln's got it
Copyright.
right. Correct. Yep. And over the period, it has been revised and added to. Yeah, but they generally just put the date that it's was first enacted. Yeah. And what does what does this act usually contain? Like if you have this like legislation, like piece of legislation, what does it usually have inside of this? What will it
It
usually
usually
contain?
copies hard, physically created materials and software. Material things, in other words.
Materials. Sorry, do you want to? Sorry, I missed that. Did you want to just quickly explain it again?
It Copyright Act usually copy protects the material, the physically created things. It doesn't protect the idea themselves.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So generally, like you'll have like a definition, right, of like what copyright applies to. Yeah. So like exclusive rights to original works. Anything else that it will usually specify in the legislation? If you were like writing a copyright like act, what else would you detail in like this document?
Types of materials that can be protected physical
Yeah,
works.
so probably that will still fit under the definition.
Yeah.
Be detailing how it's protected, under what circumstances, and the exceptions to the copyright legislation.
Yeah, Liz, good points. Yeah, definitely, Liz. Anything else?
How long it's protected?
Yeah, how long it's protected. Mel's got that as well. And generally, how long does it usually last, like copyright?
Something really long, like 70 plus your death.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere in here that it said 70, usually around 70 years. So yeah, I'd say yeah, go around usually around 70 years.
That's from the that's from the death of the author, isn't it, or creator?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. I think they matched America or something.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see. 70 years. Yeah. Let me search. 70 years after the calendar year in which the author of the work has died. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Anything else that you'll document in like the Copyright Act? What else do you think they should include, or they would include?
Have they modified it so AI can't hold copyright?
Good question. I'm not too sure about that, but
I don't think
generally,
they've
yeah, they do modify it
I've
from
heard
time.
about cases, but I don't know if they've actually changed the law.
I don't think they've changed the
Recently.
amended
Yeah.
the Copyright Act to include AI infringement yet.
Yeah, probably they haven't yet, but they do generally do reviews every now and then update the act accordingly. But yeah, probably what Duncan said, they haven't done it yet, just given it's like still new. Anything else that you'd include in here, do you think, like in the copyright legislation?
What it's applied for and how it's enforced if there's a breach.
Yeah. So definitely like how to like what happens if there's a breach, like if there's like infringements. So definitely they should provide like talk about like remedies such as like damages for like infringements. Yeah. Anything else? So yeah, you can see infringement as well in here. Yeah, so yeah, I think those are good talking points. So generally, it'll talk about like the definition of like copyright protection, duration, and infringements. I think those are the main ones. Okay, how about the Patent Act? Anyone have a chance to read through this one and want to talk about the key takeaways?
Oh,
So for what year was it first enacted?
1990.
Yep, cool. And again, what are the type of things that you'd document in like this that you'd expect to see in this like act?
What can be patented?
Mhm.
I think it's anything kind of expressed. You have to express it. You can't just think of an idea and not actually put it in an application. So
Yeah, so it has to be like I think the main criteria has to be new, inventive, useful, and also yeah, as Craig mentioned, it has to be expressed in some sort of way. It can't just be in like your head, right? It has to be expressed in some form. Yeah. So yeah, again, like definition of like what can be applied, what are patentable inventions, and how to apply for it. Anything else? How about how long it applies for? Do you think that would be important?
Yep, definitely. I think you
Yes.
can protect it right up to 20 years, I think so.
20 years, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So usually it'll talk about like how long you have if you are granted a patent, how long you have the rights for. So usually it's 20 years from when you filed for it. Yeah. Uh, what are some other things as well? Maybe if you're just applying for the first time, what's something that you should talk about?
Where
Doesn't
it's
explain.
applicable.
Sorry, I missed that, Liz.
Where it's applicable, like the fact that it's only applicable in Australia. So if you want to
Mhm.
have a patent in like another country, it may not apply in the other country.
Yeah. So yeah, generally it'll talk about where it's applicable.
Jurisdiction would have been a better word for you
Jurisdiction,
to
yeah,
use.
that's the word. Yeah, cool. How about like the process of applying, like the examination process, like uh, from when you apply and whether you need to like pay any annual renewal fees or anything like that? Do you think that that should be included? Yeah, so generally they'll have those things as well, like the examination process of like when you apply, uh, if there's any like things you need to do while you hold the patent, like renewing annual fees, for example. And as we mentioned for the Copyright Act, we talked about infringement. So again, with the Patent Act, it'll be the same thing. Usually they'll have a section for infringements, like what happens if someone else uses your invention without consent. What are like the legal actions that you can take? Yeah. All right, great. So yeah, those good discussion on those two. And let's have a quick discussion on the third one. So the Trademarks Act. So what year was this one enacted? And what were your key takeaways for those who've had a chance to read through?
$1995.
Yeah. Correct. Hello. And again, what type of things would be included in the Trademarks Act? So again, you'd have your definitions again, like what is a trademark? What are the things that can be applied for like the trademark rights? Also, like where if you want to register your trademark, where do you need to go to apply for that? And then again, also has to talk about like your duration, so how long it applies for. So I think initially it's like 10 years from when you apply, but you can be registered indefinitely, as we discussed last week. Yeah. And also again, like infringement. So what happens if someone infringes the trademark, like they use like a similar trademark that confuses or deceives consumers about your goods and services. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so good discussion on this one. Any questions regarding that? The three different types of piece of legislation regarding IP? All right, cool. Let's move on quickly to the next activity here. So the next one was regarding Creative Commons. So does anyone want to maybe just like define what the Creative Commons is and why is it needed, I guess?
So this was just like the definition that you wanted us to write?
Yeah, so what's the Creative Commons about, firstly? And why would we need it?
So I my takeaway that it was about creating open infrastructure type knowledge base that's going to benefit everyone and increase collaboration to address the limitations of copyright in a digital arena. And they want to do that by giving licenses that allow public permissions to use creators' work under standardized conditions.
Yeah, really good answer, Liz. Yeah, so basically Creative Commons is just a way for creators to be able to share their work in the public while also maintaining some copyright rights. It's like a way for you to allow others to use, share, and build upon your works, I guess, without infringing copyright. Sorry, I saw Marcus sent me a message. So, yep, Creative Commons allows everyone's from individual. Yeah, so I think Marcus has got the official definition. So, Creative Commons allows everyone from individuals to corporations to use the information, pictures under copyright laws. There are about 6 different extra signs that are accompanied by the Creative Commons signs, but the most notable one being that you must credit the original creator. Yeah. Great answer, Marcus. I'll quickly show you this as well, just like in regards to when you apply for a Creative Commons license, what are some things that you can apply for? So let me just share this as well with you in the chat. So if you want to review it in your own time. Okay, so we come here. So you can see when you apply for a Creative Commons license, maybe you want, like, you created a piece of work, but you're open to sharing it with others, right? So this this is like how you can like apply for a Creative Commons license, and then like the different things that you can apply for. So here you can see this will help you choose like what type of credit they should give you if they were to use your work. So here you can see, do you know which license you need? We'll just say no. Just say we're like a newbie and we don't know what to apply for. We can go next. And then here it talks about attribution for your work. So what does it mean by like attribution for your work? Anyone want to quickly explain that?
Basically, acknowledgement that they're not the original creator and referring back to the person who was.
Yeah, so giving you like a credit for the work. Yep. So you can say anyone can use my work without giving me the attribution that I originally created it, or you can say you have to give me the proper attribution. Yep. So I'll just say yes here. Yeah, so then this just gives you some more information. And then how about commercial use? What does it mean by like commercial use here?
People can make money from it, basically.
Yeah, whether other people can use it in like a commercial setting, whether they can use it for making money or whether they can just use it for their own personal projects, not in a commercial scenario. Yeah. So here we can just say no. Let's go next. And then how about this one? Allow others to remix, adapt, or build upon your work. What does it mean by this?
Means they can change it.
Yeah, so if you have like an image, whether they can like alter it to like a different like build upon your works, or you don't allow them to do that. They can only use the original item as is. Yeah. So we'll just say no. And then whether confirm that CC license is appropriate. So this is just confirming that what you've selected is accurate. So I own or have authority to license the work. I've read and understood the terms of the license. So I think you need to tick all of these to be able to pass. Yeah. And then this is like your attribution details. What should be linked in the attribution when they give you the credit. Cool. So have a look through this in your own time. This is like what you can apply for if you want others, like if you wanted a means of sharing like your work. Okay. I'll just paste it in the chat again. All right, great. So good discussion on this week's content regarding copyright legislation, policies, and procedures. We'll now just quickly move on to the last unit for the last 15 minutes and discuss that. So last one was ICT SAS 527. All right, so I think this week the learning was about stakeholders. So does anyone want to give like just a description of what like a stakeholder is, and maybe like an example as well of a stakeholder?
Are the people within a company whose interest stems from direct employment or ownership?
Yeah, so they might be employed by the company or they might have ownership. Yep. Anything else? What would be your like formal definition if someone just asked you to say, can you just give me a simple definition of what is a stakeholder?
Someone who has a financial stake in the company.
Financial stake. Do they have to have a financial stake, or can a stakeholder be someone else as well?
Someone who has an interest in the company.
Yeah, interest. Do they have to necessarily have an interest as well, or can it be?
Well, they would either be employed, or they would supply products to the company, or they would be the owner of the company. So it's anyone that actually has anything to do with the company.
Internal or external?
They can be maybe it might be more accurate to say they're affected.
Yeah,
what happens?
yeah, that's the word I was looking for, Duncan. So yeah, they can have an interest in the company, as most of you mentioned, but they don't necessarily have to have an interest in the company. They could be just just a person that's affected by the decisions of the organization, for example. So I guess my formal definition would be um, an individual or a group that has an interest in the decision or activity of an organization, or they can also be individuals or groups affected by the decisions of an organization. Yeah, so that would be my proper definition of stakeholders. What are the different types of stakeholders? We usually categorize them into two different categories. I think someone mentioned it before, but anyone wants to?
Internal or external?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Kyle. So internal and external. So what's the difference between the two, would you say, Kyle? Or anyone else?
Internal is like employees, managers,
Yeah, yeah,
owners, direct investors of a company. Whereas
correct. Yeah.
external could be your customers, suppliers, regulatory bodies like government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good answer, Tuan. Yeah. So internal stakeholders are generally within the company. Their interest usually stems from like direct employment. They have like an ownership or investment. And then external stakeholders are people outside of your company, which they could have like no interest, but they might be indirectly affected by the decisions and outcomes of the company. Yeah. Yeah.
Shareholders, external or internal?
Shareholders, they have a financial stake within the company. So I'd say they would be internal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They have like a stake and they have an investment in the company. So their interest, they do have a direct interest, right? Because you do care about how much the company is going to pay you in like dividends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
So
contractors count as external?
sorry, Tom?
Would contractors count as
Steve,
external
sorry?
or internal?
Contractors.
They sort of work for the company, but
Yeah.
they're a
I
bit
think
external.
generally they consider them as internal. From what I can see in the documentation, it talks about like employees, managers being internal.
They're like
So
they're paid, but they're not directly like.
yeah, but they're not directly uh I'd still say internal because they're sort of like still employed by the company, right? Like you're even as a consultant, even you're going to work for them, you're still working for them, like your employment by them, uh, or they're at least hiring your company to come and help them. So you do have an interest in how well they do as well. So I'd say I'm tend to lean more towards internal for contractors as well. But what about like suppliers? Do you think they're internal
That would
or
be
external?
more external, wouldn't they? Because they're
Suppliers?
just supplying an
Yeah,
item.
yeah. Suppliers would be a different case because they're just supplying you with the goods and services, so they'll be external. Usually, they don't have any like inside knowledge of your company, um, apart from what you tell them. So yeah, generally suppliers would be external. Yeah.
So if you have a group of contractors that you contract to come in once every year to do an audit on your company, an independent audit, would they be considered internal or external?
Good question.
I think contract.
Yeah, Hayden, go ahead. Hayden, did you want to say something?
Full-time employee, or is just going in to provide services.
Yeah, let's have a
Now
look.
and then.
Let's have a look at what Google says. Contractors
So
are.
what happens when businesses outsource?
Um, let's have a look what it
Are
says.
they then external or internal outsourcing work?
Outsource work. Yeah, good question. I still lean towards internal because they're like directly involved in like your project. So I still lean towards internal. See what I mean here? It says like internal, right? Contractors, subcontractors, that would be like internal because they have involvement in the organizational like projects. So I do still tend to lean towards internal. External would be people that aren't really involved in your organization or have an influence as in terms of what your organization is doing. So yeah, again, I still lean towards internal. like for contractors. Even though, yeah, it's a tough one because they're not there all the time, right? Yeah. But I think for now you can just say internal for these ones. This site says it as well. All right, cool. Awesome. So good discussion on that. So we did have a case study as well to go through. So did anyone have a chance to have a look through the iAssist website?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
They offer a lot, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to
They
share
do a
some of
lot.
your findings, or what are your takeaways? What are some stakeholders that would be
Well,
involved for iAssist?
there's heaps. You've got the community where the business is situated. They're situated in Rockhampton and
Rocky, yeah.
Yukon. They've got partnerships with Microsoft Azure and Xero accounting.
Yeah.
They do communication, internet and wireless and cabling and website hosting. They've got a technical support that they offer people. So yeah, they offer tax support.
Yeah, tax support as well. So what would their
Yeah.
like what do you think their
Bookkeeping.
customer base would be? What are some like stakeholders that you can think of that would be interested in this organization or be affected by this company?
Well, you'd have Telstra and you'd have the internet providers. They'd be working with them.
Yeah, so they're the suppliers. Yeah. Anything else?
They'd also have employment agencies in the area because they'll be employing people and doing traineeships and apprenticeships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good
And then of
points.
course the businesses. I mean, it wouldn't matter where the businesses are situated because it's online remote support that they offer.
Yeah, so there'll be a variety of different businesses. Maybe like it might be maybe let's have a look at the feedback. So maybe companies that, for example, Theodore Medical, maybe like a medical clinic business that use that require iAssist to help with maybe their bookkeeping. Maybe they need them to do some bookkeeping. So then, yeah, they would be an example of a stakeholder. So yeah, it could be a variety of different businesses. You just need to
They did have on their website that they assisted regional businesses.
regional businesses as well. Yeah, yeah.
So I just had that their clients were the regional businesses needing accounting, IT managed services, and IT communication solutions.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I think yeah, you could go a bit further and like break down those businesses into further categories, but as long as you're not just talking about customers, right? Because that's too generic. So like here, if you talk about like small businesses using Xero's accounting, that would be fine. Or regional businesses that provide maybe
I did break down the accounting into MyOb, Xero, and BAS, and then the communication solutions for phone and data cabling. So
okay.
they do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And they also provide home computer service and communication services directly to individuals rather than businesses too.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, as long as you're not just talking about it as like a generic thing, like they just have customers, then that's fine. Yeah. How about some internal stakeholders? What are some internal stakeholders that you can think of?
I looked up on Facebook. It seemed that they started as a computer services company and then grew bigger and added bookkeeping and then added the NBN stuff afterwards.
Yeah, from my understanding, it's a family-run business, and yeah, they were originally quite a small business, and then they continue to get popular and become more successful. So then
They sort of turned
expanded
into
the
a
business.
one-stop technology shop.
Yeah, exactly. And so what are some internal stakeholders that you can think of?
Well, there's all the technicians that actually install the systems.
Yeah, so maybe employees that work for them. Yeah.
Then there was the managerial and office staff that
Managerial, yeah, so still under employees, I guess. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone? Any other?
It's a business, a trust-based business, Spence Family Trust, trading
Yeah,
as
so they would
ISIS.
definitely be interested as well. Yeah, the people that have directly own the company. Yeah. What are some other ones that you can think of? Yeah, so we have like, I think the main ones are like the organization that owns the business. Obviously, you have your employees as well, you have your suppliers as well, and then the customers. But the customers, you should like talk more, you should be more specific and say what type of customers, because customers too generic. So you can talk about um, a small business that runs that is hosting a website, for example, because I think they do web hosting as well. Yeah, so things like that. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's a good discussion. I think you guys got the point now. So yeah, any questions regarding that?
No.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So good discussion on this. All right, so next week we'll look into week 4. So again, just make sure for next week you've reviewed the essential learning and learning activities for each of the individual units that form the cluster, and then we'll reconvene and discuss your findings from that. Yeah, and if you have any questions throughout the week, just feel free to message me or message in the Teams channel, and someone will be able to help. Yeah. Apart from that, yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Thanks.
night.
Bye.